We call him Salty Cracker. You call him, what are some of the phrases? Biblical salt, King Salt, Salt King. We just call him Salty here. A lot to talk about. Reaction to so many things in the news. We were just reflecting before the mics heated up here that whenever Salty comes on, it seems like there is just all kinds of shit going down. But neither of us are to blame for it. That is just the world we live in. And he is going to talk about what he calls the lefty flames, which is hysterical. You can follow Salty on X, SaltyCracker9, and saltmustflow.com. The Salty Cracker on Rumble, at Salty Cracker on YouTube. Stand by, the salt must flow. Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say. I've spent most of my career dealing with illnesses that shorten life, and now we have ways to extend it and extend wellness. I've been working with the team over at V-Shred to develop a product that has everything I want in a longevity supplement. NR Boost has nicotinamide riboside. You know, metal can rust. Well, your body behaves in a similar way. It's mediated through something called NAD. NAD falls as we age, so we're less able to fight off that oxidative process. We oxidize much like that metal. And NAD fights it, but nicotinamide riboside elevates NAD so we can push back on those oxidative stressors, improving health, improving longevity. The other product is Senosync, has fisetin, one of the key molecules to fight off zombie cells, and we've added resveratrol to that, which is a well-known anti-aging antioxidant again. I don't like supplements that have a ton of ingredients. To me, it suggests that none of it's working. When I prescribe a medication, I prescribe that medicine because I expect that to work. That is exactly what I've done with these products. And I want you to go to drdrew.com/vshredmd for 10% off. Again, that is drdrew.com/vshredmd. You really should be taking those supplements, that and the fatty. Those are the ones I take. All right, Salty Cracker with us. The salt must flow. Let us begin.
Hey, Dr. Drew.
Where shall we start? What are the biggest reactions out there in your mind?
Watching a whole bunch of cat ladies and daytime alcoholics vote for a communist in New York City. That's pretty up there.
Well, it's interesting. So I'm in New York City, and you barely noticed anything happened here. So it was a small minority of people that voted. So that means there was some sort of machine operating, getting people out and getting their group sort of excited into the voting and to the polls. It may not necessarily reflect the will of the people here in New York, but okay, here we go. He's quoting previous socialist mayors that have allowed this city to fall apart. In fact, people that were really resided over the most darkest hours of New York City's history. Those are his models. Do you have any predictions where we're going?
You know, my gut is telling me that a lot of the real stupid stuff that he's selling these morons is just, it's never going to come to fruition. This free buses, free daycare.
Right.
You know, this is something that these people, they throw out there, and really gullible, dumb people, they go, oh, I like free stuff and nothing could possibly go wrong with free, like nobody's paying for it. I want free stuff. Meanwhile, it's a mathematical impossibility to do that. You've got other places on this planet where they've got free daycare and there's a 5-year waiting list. But what good does that do you? If your 2-year-old needs daycare, by the time they turn 5, they're already in the public school system. So this is those things are never going to happen. But I imagine you'll still see a a continued degradation of New York City with their real dumb policies of we won't arrest anybody, go ahead and do drugs in the middle of the street, all of these really degenerate, hedonistic policies that lead people to destroy their own lives to make them more reliant on big government will continue at a quickening pace, I imagine.
A couple of things. One is there are now ads playing here locally that now that we're elected, now you need to give me money so I can give you the free services. That's literally what his ads have switched to, number one. Number two, rich people are already getting ready to leave, so they're going to blame the rich leaving on the failure of his policies, right? Because they weren't willing to sit here and be held up at gunpoint. And then finally, his big plan, this is the one I love. He's going to take Rikers Island, which I can see out this window behind me, the curtain's down, but I can see out that window, Rikers Island, and he's going to turn it into a giant criminal rehabilitation unit, some sort of social model rehab unit, which within a year, there will be extreme violence, and within 2 years, they will take over the island, and it will be some sort of gigantic standoff for God knows how long. And that's my prediction. I'm gonna stand by that. We'll get together again soon in the future and see if that actually comes true.
Yeah, well, that and a lot of blaming of Donald Trump, I imagine. When they don't get their free buses, they don't get their free daycare, this will somehow be capitalism and Donald Trump's fault.
Yes. But there's a bigger problem here. This one I want you to, am I remembering your history right? You did school teaching for a little while. Is that right?
Yeah, did for a decade.
And so you would have been the sort of millennial teacher, right? Teacher of millennials, would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Or was it Gen Z, or kind of the crossover there from millennial to Gen Z? What do you think?
It's like a blending, but yeah, in that area.
Okay, so you got a dose of both, which is good. So what is going on there that they are seemingly? This is a group that's highly supportive of the LGBTQ, et cetera, group. What is this celebration of Sharia law? This is the other thing we're seeing here. I'd love to understand that logic.
Oh, well, that's a problem. If you're going to be looking for logic with any of the reasoning that's going on with these individuals, they don't know what a woman is. So take a look at where we're at. You have a left-wing Democrat base that they're frustrated, and rightly so, I imagine, and they're frustrated with both parties, right? They don't like the Republicans. They're Nazi fascists, right? But the Democrats have also let them down. These 20-year-old Democrats, they're not going to be able to buy a house just like a 20-year-old Republican. And so the solution isn't, well, let me listen to the Republicans. Let me move towards the middle. Let me go. No, because those are all Nazis, so they can't go in that direction. They got to go in the other direction, which is flaming left. I mean, commie left. They used to say, "I'm a Democrat socialist" to hide that they were a commie. That's over with now. Now they're embracing Democrat socialists, and the base has got a significant chunk that wants them to go, no, we're communists now. They're on the college campuses. They've been getting that group, that contingent on the college campuses are getting larger. They're more vocal that they want straight communism.
Yes. So what is to be done with that? I mean, is this going to be a group that's going to continue to grow? Is it going to be forever unhappy? Are they going to learn how reality works someday? Is it just youthful excess? How is this going to work?
Well, this is a process, and so in the short term, you're going to see these people continuing to go in a direction that's got real bad outcomes. So the increased drug use, increased alcoholism, increased sexual deviation, these people they're insane. And
wait. So hold on a second. So you're predicting. I love doing predictions around moments like this because we're going to see, how one day we'll get to talk about how we did. But the prediction is increasing serious mental illness in this group is what you're saying. Yeah.
So
and mostly on the addiction side, mostly on the substance side, substance and sex addiction side.
Yeah, so all of the ills that the left here in California fixed, obviously, homelessness, drug abuse, alcoholism, petty crime, violent crime. All of that's going to go through the roof in New York City. You are dumping a massive amount of just gasoline, rainbow gasoline on this fire, because the outcomes for every one of those, for alcoholism, crime, drug abuse, all of this, the outcomes, which are bad, the only remedy for that will be more government, right? We just need more resources. We need more rainbow coalitions and social workers. No prisons. We can't arrest anybody because that's racist. But an inflated group of diversity social workers, and that plays right into the people who put Mamdani in power. This is a cycle. They've monetized fucking people's lives up.
But we have that in California, and yet they have shrouded it in a bunch of frankly, what would you call it? A gaslighting, I guess. And people don't understand that's what's happening, and it's gone on for 20 years. In fact, I want to play a tape for you. Would you listen to a 2-minute tape? I think I've played it for my audience before, but I'm going to re-air it for you and your audience. It is this very issue. Well, it's not this very issue because it led to a further conversation in this interview. Adam Carolla had an interview with Gavin Newsom 10 years ago, where amongst you've seen that interview, where amongst other things, he said, homelessness is my number one priority, and the face of homelessness is a 30-year-old woman who just lost her job with 2 kids and the husband left her. And that's the face of homelessness. We're like, what do you mean the face of homelessness? Show me that person. Find that person on the streets. No, 0 probability. So he was advocating that. He also was saying that the real problem for Black and brown people is check cashing stores. Yeah. That's the problem. That's right. And so Adam, realizing that no one was really listening to him because he's kind of abrasive, he took AI and took that interview and made him, Adam Carolla, an NPR radio chick. And he turned Newsom into Burt Reynolds. And you're going to hear the exact same interview. And I want everyone to watch and listen and tell me if the insanity doesn't just fly off the screen for you. Caleb, can you play that?
California, roughly half of Latino families have no access to a checking account or an ATM, things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
Well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't.
Why do Armenians have them?
But where they end up is a check cashing place.
But I want to know, why those groups? Why do those 2 groups not have access?
Just happens to be that we can talk about...
Are they flawed?
No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically flawed?
Hardly. Absolutely not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have problems. A lot of whites have these problems.
So it's not just Black and Hispanic?
No, but
Well, why did you bring up Black and Hispanic?
Because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be just the magnitude.
That's the way God planned it?
Not at all.
Well, what happened to them?
There are a lot of issues, and communities are struggling.
Why are they struggling?
A lot of different reasons.
Hispanics have been here, Blacks have been here longer than we have been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What about Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah. In fact, it all initiated out of San Francisco. The Chinese Exclusion Act came out of progressive San Francisco.
So are they at the check cashing places?
A lot of Asians certainly do.
Oh, so why don't you include them?
Because then the only reason why is the magnitude of the problem.
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about, you know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure.
Isn't that funny? Is it crazy? So your reaction?
So I remember when you guys originally did that, I remember Gavin Newsom forgetting about that, and then you guys, I remember Adam hitting him with the COVID stuff.
Yes, yes, closing the beaches. But it's so funny. Why not Armenians? Did God plan it this way? It's like, why not Asians? Why do you say that?
He has never had an actual interview, that guy, Gavin Newsom.
No, he's never had anybody hold up a mirror to him at all in any way. Yeah. That's why he's not on Joe Rogan, not because Rogan doesn't want him there. It's because Rogan knows he's going to either not show up or bullshit him and not answer his questions.
For 2 hours plus. Yeah. So, the magnitude of it is the only reason why we're offering this for black people. And well, then how'd they get there? Well, he can't explain it because all of his policies put black people there, subsidizing single households, giving more money to black women to have more black kids as long as the dad isn't at home. You did this. You created this with your Democrat policies, with your bigotry of low expectations for black people. And that's why the black people are at the check cashing place. You've got real low expectations.
I asked Larry Elder this question too. I said, why aren't black women furious with the Democratic Party? They should be livid. Why not?
Well, because they're the biggest beneficiaries to government daddy.
But that's to me, that feels like a surface issue. You know what I mean? That feels humans do respond to things like that, but this has been going on a long time and things are not good. And so it just would seem to me black women would look around and go, wait a minute, they're holding me in this jail, this domesticated jail. Screw those guys. Let's get at let's help me thrive. Which it just, for what I think it's all propaganda. I think they're everyone's so propagandized. I never realized it until COVID. I don't know if you realize it, if you've always known it, but to me, this is new information.
Well, no, listen, COVID was a whole nother level of, holy shit, we're in a lot of trouble. Like humans are easily programmable with real bad code. No, I'm always shocked with how susceptible we are to propaganda.
Yes.
But
yes.
Listen, you've got a situation where the government is positively reinforcing bad behaviors and they are targeting black women. Those behaviors turn out to bad consequences for your environment. And how do you it's a self-perpetuating problem. And I think there are definitely black women who see what's going on and they get out of the situations, but it's not easy to get out of that situation. Even once you start.
That I know. That I get it. I get that. I get that. Yeah, for sure. It's hard. Human change is hard, and particularly when you put people in a hole like that. But it just seems like, you know what? Maybe nobody's come up with the right message for folks that are being held in this sort of domesticated prison. It's not just black women, but they've been sort of targeted. It seems like to me. But maybe it's time for somebody somebody independent to come up with a real inspiring solution that they it's got to counter the socialist message, seems to me.
Well, you're fighting an uphill propaganda battle. So you have generations of just pouring on victimhood mentality into this community, where if you try to give any type of criticism or any advice, you're going to come off as a racist honky. And so a lot of them are just going to be turned off by that. I had a video that I put up, I think it was yesterday. This black woman's she's in a dollar store and she walks by, they're selling cotton, like in a baggie, like for the plant top. And she flips out. She's like, "Oh, you gonna sell this here?" And she starts yanking them off the thing. She cuts herself, ripping these cotton balls off of the store display shelf. And she's screaming about how you're not going to put her back on the plantation. You're not going to get her picking cotton. Meanwhile, ironically enough, she's picking cotton in 2025. It's crazy. But listen to what she's saying. You guys are out. The machine is run by white people, and white people are trying to put me back in shackles or trying to put me on the plantation to pick cotton. Meanwhile, no, I just want to go to work. I
don't think this is something that a white person should try to solve, frankly, either. I agree with that. But I do think that somebody smart and creative could come up with something, just seems to me. But let me switch gears and talk about Gold's Gym and that young individual that marched into the women's locker room and upset a woman, rightly so. And we're going to call her. We'll call them both hers, just out of politeness. That's what people want, so fine. And What do you make of that? I've come to the conclusion that we're going to have to come up with some easier sort of standards for who goes into the women's dressing rooms or bathrooms, certainly rooms with other women. It ought to be not a place where penises go, period. No penises. There should be we should have like a little, like the kind of penis that are drawn in the bathrooms in the men's room with a no parking sign through it. That's what I want. That's it. And that's all. Let's keep it simple here. No?
Well, I mean, no, I agree. It's 100% simple, but now you got a cartoon dick on the door that small little kids got to go through. So this is all a problem brought on by just mental illness. Listen, stay out of there. You're a dude. Stay out of there. And by the way,
did you see what? By the way, what? What?
That's the one time the left is going to criticize a black woman. So the black woman's screaming. There's a dude. There's a dude in the locker room. His penis is out there. This is crazy. Now they're kicking me out of here, and all of the white chicks in the back are like, "Oh, whose side do I pick?" They got a real moral problem now because there's a transgender individual versus a black person. They don't quite know where today's woke Olympics ends at.
I don't know what we do with all this. Do we? I don't know. I guess people are going to fight it out one way or another. What bothered me, and by the way, there was then a whole bunch of X threads suggesting that this transgender woman had a criminal history. I looked into it. It appears like that was wrong. That didn't happen. That in fact, this person has a clean record and a clean employment profile and whatnot. But her behavior, her not weird, let's try to not use pejorative terms, but the excesses of the desire to imprint on this poor woman was, to me, felt like an assault, felt like abuse. She was intent on abusing this woman because that woman didn't want to see a penis.
It's violence.
Don't be like the left that way. Speech is not violence. Stop it. No more violent talk. It's abusive. Let's say abuse.
You take your dirty dick and you bring it out around my wife, and I'm going to fuck you up. So it's going to get violence.
Then there's going to be violence. Then there's going to be violence. That's a different thing.
I think when you got your genitalia out in somebody's perimeter, unlike words, your dirty dick within a few inches of a woman, I think that's always been considered violence. I think people have said, listen, if you take your dick out around somebody who doesn't want your dick out, that's sexual assault. And I think we haven't changed the definitions on that.
Assault. It's assault of sorts. I agree with you, but sexual assault of some type. But I just want a little nod from the salty community that we got some good salt flowing here, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your support. A lot of rees going on. It's good. Okay, keep going. Go ahead. It has to be a dirty dick, though, right? It can't just be any dick. It has to be a dirty dick.
It's got to be a circumcised, clean penis, Dr. Drew. No, this is. I think we've reached a tipping point with this nonsense. There is a very small amount of people out there. You've got a developmental disorder. If you've got the XXY situation going on, the vast majority of individuals that want to do this are perverts. It's very clear. Most of the time, not this individual, I guess, but most of the people that I've seen when we've got dudes scaring women out of bathrooms, they've got a rap sheet that's 15 feet long, and guys know that guys are disgusting. We know this, and sane people don't want a dude who's pretending to be a woman in a woman's bathroom. This is a grown woman that had a problem with this. Now imagine if it was a small child. This is an attack on sanity over here, and I think we reached a tipping point where I think you look at what these Generation Xers are doing these days. I think the social contagion of this look at me, I'm a beautiful transgender butterfly. I think it's peaked. I think we're heading back towards a little bit of sanity. It's going to take a while.
Mostly because it's intruded on women's rights so egregiously that it's just, you can't be denied anymore. But you mentioned the developmental disorders like the XXY, XYY, XO. I was looking at the sort of transsexual data on the incidence of these genetic disorders that really were the nidus of this whole movement on college campuses, because doctors were assigning sexes to somebody that didn't have a biological sex. Therefore, the entire world of gender needs to be turned upside down. But okay, but I was sort of comparing genetic sort of errors, the incidence of these things, and essentially the probability of being it depends on what data you looked at, but then a lot of it was way overinflated. But the reality is, the most reasonable data suggested that your probability of being born intersex were about the same as being born with one arm.
Yeah.
That's how common it is. So.
Yeah, that's how they always do this. They take something that occurs in nature at a 0.0000001%, and then they want to upend how things have been functioning for millennia. Like they're like, oh, we got to change everything now because of this. Well, don't you care about the kids? And then they invoke emotions, they invoke feelings, and then they try to shut everybody else down. But the shutting of everybody else down, it's over with. And so I think you're going to half the reason why these transgender people have adopted this mantle is because of the utter protection. And I say more than half, actually, I would imagine. The utter protection from society that you get the minute that you say you're a they, them. You're now no longer held accountable for any of your craziness. And that's a hell of a drug to be on. It's a social drug. And these people are getting dopamine hits off the charts.
Yeah. No, it's true. I God only knows if I were 13, how I would have been swayed one way or another. I didn't have a cohesive sense of myself at that age. Are you kidding me? So I don't know. The whole task of adult psychology was developing a cohesive, stable sense of self with appropriate boundaries around the self through time. But no. Now it's whatever you are today. Caleb, what was the video that Emily just sent us? It was something that Salty had put out, I guess. Is that correct? She texted us this video.
I'm going to have to look.
Did you see that?
I'm going to see. 1 second.
Okay, I'm not sure what this was. Did you mention some video or something you put up, Salty?
Just I was talking about the lady who was picking cotton at a dollar store flipping out.
No, this is a New York City.
Yeah, it's a different clip.
The Mamdani immediately asking for money.
I guess so probably was that.
If Emily's listing, I wasn't able to find the clip she was talking about from the timestamp, so I don't have that one ready yet.
Okay. I just want to make sure I was zooming along, missing something you guys wanted to do. I want to go back to the draw of socialism, and because this is really concerning. You know, if you read your history, these kinds of movements usually start with the youth, usually start with the intellectual, don't necessarily have a real big following, but some wrinkle of history, they find their way into power and expand. Whether it's on the right with Hitler or on the left with Lenin, these were not highly probably successful movements, and they were not majoritarian by any stretch when they got going. They were outlying, fringy, bizarre, but there was a lot more desperation and unhappiness back in those days. And yet we do have a reality for Gen Z and a lot of millennials where life is not affordable, and certainly what we're being told to the young men, that they're worthless and they're toxic and they're not useful. And then in Mamdani himself, he only hired women in his group. He's only allowing women to work for him now. So how does this all shake out? Are we going to have a bunch of Nick Fuentes followers at the end of this? And we're going to have that movement suddenly come out of nowhere, the incels, and we're going to be worried about that? I'm confused about where this is all going.
It's going to get more polarizing, and you're going to see the young conservative male movement towards more. Nick Fuentes is putting up gigantic numbers. There are a lot of discontented 20-year-olds, and
yes.
They don't like Trump. They don't like the establishment Republicans, and they're pissed off. And they hate commies too. So, but they're looking for somebody else who is going through they're going to look for another 20-year-old who's gone, or maybe slightly older, who knows what they're talking. I don't know what a 20-year-old has gone through. My 20s are completely different than a 20-year-old up today. I can't speak to these kids that a 20-year-old can.
Hang on one second. I've got this. Don't worry. You're on your way. You can go. I got this. It's working for me. Don't worry about it. Sorry about that. We're working on a travels team here, and so we were wondering whether something was going to work, and it did. But it was very different for us. Very different for us. Very different for you. I mean, you're technically a Gen Xer, right? Wouldn't that be about your zone?
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
And I remember when us boomers had a little bit of disdain for the Gen Xers. Now we're like, oh my God, give me more of those. Because if you remember, you guys remember what we used to say about you guys, which was that you expected jobs to be just given to you. You were during the 90s boom, and so jobs were just your right, and not only were jobs, high salaries were just granted to you, and you should be the senior vice president just because you went to Stanford, whatever it might be. And but you guys, reality successfully brought Gen X into reality. I'd say. Started having kids, you started, just the grind. You started the grind of reality. And Gen X kind of got with the game. How are we going to get this group in? Go ahead, what?
They hit 40. And life and the world will kick you in the ass, and you better get your shit sorted. The same thing will happen to these kids. I'm calling them kids, but they're 20-year-olds.
I saw it happen. I saw it happen in the 60s. I got to live through that too, when there was a really radical group flying all over the place, and they were in charge, and they set the cultural agenda. And the Chicago 7 or whoever it was. If you look at the Chicago 7, they either ended up drug addict, dead, both, or a stockbroker. That's where they ended up. That's where all the radicals ended up from the 60s, and people don't know that. I watched it happen. It's people my experience has been it's usually people taking advantage of the social moment or power and for attention and to get laid and to make some money and things like that. And that's what really is sort of in the, and I understand there's a desire to do good and to help people. And of course that's always in there, but that's in there on both sides. And unfortunately, one side does not have a monopoly on that. Everyone wants everyone to thrive. And if you keep saying that one side doesn't care, that's just not true. That's not true at all.
That won't solve any of the actual realities that you're going to face in the real world. Right now, you've got 20-year-olds who are leaving their parents' house in an environment where the society has dumped 20 to 50 million, God knows how many illegal aliens into the system to drive down your wages and to eat up your housing, driving your mortgages or your rent through the roof. This is something that no generation that I can imagine has had to face. You leave your parents' house and you're competing with 20, 30 million illegal aliens who are coming from Venezuela, and they were eating zoo animals last week, so they'll work for nothing. And then you've got both sides wanting to exploit that labor. Yeah. And these kids, the reality of the situation is they're not going to be able to buy a house. The jobs that they're being given at 20 are delivering other people's food. These kids are going to have to, they've got essentially two options on the table. You can take that gig job because that's the only one that you have, and then you're going to hit that grind and you're going to start working that side job. You're going to start learning stuff. You're going to go on the internet and learn a new trade that is based on AI. You're going to learn how to work Grok. You're going to go to night school after delivering people's food all day long, and those are going to be successful Zoomers. And they'll get out of this mess, but that's fucking hard. The other group is going to say, "Oh, free shit," and they're going to go deep into the communism Kool-Aid, and they're going to get ground up.
I'm sorry to hear that. But I want to talk more about that 20-year-old male population that feels so marginalized, because I've taken a little break here, but what I've heard from them is a desire for just tell me what to do. I need some guidance, and they sort of couch it in kind of spiritual, meaning-making kinds of language. Like, what are we supposed to do? Which is a new thing. You got to remember that Gen X, the boomers, were all about casting off the yoke of older people, previous generations, anybody with any wisdom, but nothing to offer us, because we were different, man. And we wanted authentic, man. We wanted real. And so we liked sociopaths who pretended to be real. People that learned to play the guitar when they were 14 and were sociopathic. That was our idea of somebody to model ourselves after. I mean, that's what we did. But it was in the name of authenticity. And I don't know, I feel like now they're looking for meaning. They're looking for meaning making. And that's a harder putt. And more important, frankly. So maybe, it makes me think maybe these, what's that book called about the cycles, the fifth turning? Maybe the fifth turning is right. Maybe that's going to be where the fifth turning is going to find its way. That there will be some, I want you to think about this during the break. Maybe there will be some political alternative for that group that will emerge creatively. It is not right. It is not left. And we'll give them something to hang on to for meaning making. Salty Cracker, salt is flowing. I'm looking at your fans here. They're all over the Rumble rants. They're also in on my restream here. It's going so fast, I can't keep up with you guys, actually. So let me just see if there's anything that you want me to say. Yes, a lot of mocking of boomers going on. We deserve it. And by the way, we spent our whole life mocking ourselves, by the way. It was not, boomers did not have it. I mean, they were not the greatest generation. They were not blown up on Omaha Beach, but we didn't exactly, we were depressed. We were really depressed, but we had this weird culture that we hung on to of sociopaths, and that didn't exactly help us. We'll take a break. Back with Salty Cracker right after this. The Wellness Company knows that taking charge of your family's healthcare is a top priority, and being rationally ready, and who knows what the future will hold for us. Now TWC has a service to cover your family's medical needs, including and especially prevention. For just $100 a month, the One Wellness Elite membership includes 2 free medical-grade nutraceuticals per month, free prescriptions for over 800 of the most common medications, access to concierge telemedicine, available at a moment's notice, and a 15% discount on all supplements and the emergency kits. 15% off the emergency kits. That's quite a saving. So if you're spending $100 or more on supplements and meds every month, this plan will already save you money. If you sign up for a year, you'll save $200. And when you use the link, drdrew.com/TWC, you'll get 10% off the first payment to the One Wellness Elite membership. Check out One Wellness at drdrew.com/TWC and get 10% off your first payment. drdrew.com/TWC. It's all there. Hey, Dr. Drew here, and this is Susan, my wife of 34 years. And Susan, I told you remember, we need to get the whole family on fatty, and we finally did.
The inflammation in my joints has been relieved. It's doing great things for my brain.
Douglas has been telling me he has more energy and he sleeps better. I know this is helping me age better and stay well longer. The way our body kind of breaks down, entropy always wins. Right? There are 2 laws of thermodynamics, and one of them is complexity always gets more. But the way it does that is through oxidation. Fatty 15 works on these oxidative mechanisms, so the cell membranes are sustained longer, they're not so fragile. That cellular fragility syndrome that they found is improved with fatty. So yes, everybody take fatty. There are a few supplements that people should just be taking, and fatty 15 is one of them. I'm looking to age better. And I know for sure this is one of the longevity supplements. It's the longevity supplement. Inflammation, oxidative stress. You hear those words flying around. This goes at that biochemistry. It stabilizes the cell membranes so the cells don't become senescent and we live healthier longer. Pretty simple. It's one of the supplements that people should just be taking. And when you start it, do not stop it. The research was so crystal clear, and that convinced me to start Fatty 15.
The results convinced me to keep taking it. You can get it at drdrew.com/fatty15 today and get 15% off a 90-day starter kit.
Smell is sexy. Or sushi. Or Dr. Drupinski.
What? And of course, our friends with the Paleo Valley beef stick. I have lost count of how many times I've reached for those beef sticks. And by the way, not just the beef sticks, but also the venison. I love that. The grass-fed and finished beef makes them even more rich in nutrients. They never fed their livestock grains or hormones or antibiotics, rich in linoleic acid. Chicken and pork are pasture-raised, and those can be a go-to as well. They're delicious, part of the variety there of sticks. And they're fermented, which makes them gut-friendly. Paleo Valley has so much to offer, from the protein powder, which chocolate is my favorite every day in my coffee, olive oil, tallow, and the superfood snack bars, which are based in the protein, they're based in the bone broth, which is just packed with nutrients. So stock up for your holiday travel and for hosting events. Get a discount. Go to drdrew.com/Paleo Valley. At drdrew.com/Paleo Valley, you get 15% off your first order and 20% when you subscribe. Our guest, of course, is the one and only Salty Cracker. You can follow him on X, Salty Cracker 9. The salt must flow. Rumble is, wait a minute. Rumble is at Salty Cracker, and the Salty Cracker. YouTube is at Salty Cracker. So any thoughts about what I was saying about how we come up with something creatively to serve a generation of males in particular that has been marginalized?
Well, it's gonna have to come from within their own generation, because I think every generation shows that they're not going to listen to the previous generation. They're not going to listen to a younger generation. They're going to find their own thought leaders from within their own generation, and hopefully they've got really good ideas, and this bends our system towards helping them out. But right now they've got a hell of a situation to dig themselves out of.
Speaking of the someone from their own age group, what did you make of the Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes interview?
You know, I haven't been able to get all the way through. I've seen a few clips here and there. I'm watching this infight on the right-hand side, where I'm being lectured to by big profile accounts saying, I've got to not listen to Tucker Carlson. I got to not listen to Nick Fuentes. I hear way more from other people about Nick Fuentes than I hear from Nick Fuentes. You know what I mean? Like I hear people say, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this and that. I've heard a bunch of clips from the dude, and everything that I've heard, again, first of all, I don't agree 100% with anybody other than Jesus, of course. But when it comes to my political pundits, I'm not taking anybody at 100. I mean, we're all different people. We've got different perspectives, and I've heard a ton of his stuff. And I'm like, that's America first. I'm all for America first. But then I'm watching these people saying, "Oh, we got to get rid of Tucker Carlson. We got to get rid of Nick Fuentes." And let me drill it a little bit. What I think the core issues are, because I heard similar shit flying around about Charlie Kirk, and yet when I drilled into Charlie Kirk to see, well, what is that? It was all out of context. There were some things that were like too much, and but for the most part, it was like all out of context, designed to make that guy look bad. Nick Fuentes makes himself look bad on his own. And so the question then is, and this is really the question, I think, does Tucker, and I don't know if Nick believes it or if he's just being inflammatory to try to create, traction. I don't know. Unfortunately, I think he's attracting an audience that does believe it. That's the more serious concern. And as such, Tucker is being criticized for not being directive or sort of questioning more. Does he have an obligation? Because this is an interesting area, which is, let's say somebody gets pissed at me for bringing you on, and you say some things that I don't agree with. I just let it lie. To me, it's just like, that's part of conversation. But did that go too far? Did Tucker not do enough? Well, with the Nick Fuentes stuff, this is the thing that I urge people to be careful about. And this isn't specifically for Nick Fuentes. This is for anybody. You've got a 20-year-old. I don't know how old Nick is, but he's talking to 20. He's young. He's a young kid. He's a young man. He's talking to these people, his audience and his base. He's talking to them through a means that we who are older aren't going to understand. If you didn't grow up with those 20-year-olds, you don't understand the cultural memes and the references that they're saying. And so they're saying stuff that older people will take. And they'll go, look at this. See, this is what he said. He's on Team Hitler or something like this.
Yeah.
That to us means something different to these 20-year-olds who they've got their own culture that they've developed and gone through. And so when I hear a one-off of, oh, look at this, I ignore it, because what is this man saying on his show consistently? What are the driving points that the policy agenda talking points that he's talking about? And it's America first. That stuff I agree with. And the other stuff out there, I'm a little, I'm watching these people who say, look, I can't believe you had this kid on Tucker Carlson. We're going to cancel both of you. I'm like, you are not speaking the language of these 20-year-olds, and you don't even understand that you don't speak the language of the 20-year-olds. So
you're going to have to convince me of that. I don't quite get that, but I'm open to it. I'm open to it because, I mean, there are certainly words that you could take offense to that when I was an adolescent, we would use. We didn't mean them even in the way you're hearing them. We meant something totally different, Go ahead.
So there's memes out there, and the memes are they're pulled from a certain time period, and they resonate with people from that time period. And so there's going to be if you see memes and you're like, I don't understand what's going on, they're speaking a language of their time period in culture, and they're talking. So my generation, when I was 20, one of the biggest things in the world blowing up at that time was shooting each other in first-person games. And we talked a certain way while playing those games. And older people would hear us talking that way. They'd go, oh my God, you want to kill gay people? I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't care about gay people. That's just how I talk to my friends. You talk to your friend? You call your friend that?
Right.
And it's like, yeah. And so the 40-year-olds today who grew up on Doom and Quake and Call of Duty, we've got a way of talking to each other that resonates. And if anybody from the outside maybe they might be the same age, but they didn't play video games, they're going to hear that and they're going to go, oh my God, look at these crazy people. But it's just the language that we use with each other.
If I can say, this is Caleb, if I can say this also on the same topic, but on the whole other end of the spectrum, that's why I wasn't so shocked and alarmed by the chats that came from the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, because I know like my, especially like younger siblings, younger cousins, and some of them would never go out and hurt someone, and they talk exactly that way. It's very dark conversations. It's much worse than, back in earlier, whenever I was younger, it would be like, oh, I'm going to kill him if he does that. It's like, well, oh, they better not, it's like you say these things, but it's also progressed and gotten so much worse for this generation. And that's why I keep telling my cousins and my siblings, look, guys, all it takes is one friend in your Discord group to be on the FBI's radar, to go and commit a crime, and then all of your chat logs are going to be leaked. Everything that you say in here that you think is fake, even, also those the young Republicans in New York. It's like, well, yeah, they were saying all this horrible stuff, not being smart about it, not thinking they thought Telegram was safe.
It's horrible stuff.
It's also horrible stuff. It is horrible stuff. They should be saying
corrective action taken of
but some of them from this generation, and it's, my generation too, they don't actually mean it, but they're being very stupid by saying stuff that they don't actually mean in real life in all of these chats and not thinking it's going to ever go anywhere.
Salty.
Well, you're also, so right now on social media, on TikTok, you'll see there's a bunch of women in New York, and they're celebrating Sharia. They're celebrating it. They don't. Again, they think they're mocking the people who've been talking about Sharia coming to New York, and so. Yeah. I see a lot of right-leaning accounts going, oh my God, look at this. They're celebrating Sharia law. I'm like, no, they're not celebrating it. They're mocking us. They don't think Sharia is coming. And they're throwing Sharia terms around and celebrating it as a inside joke to them. And our side's thinking that it's literal and it's serious and they're supporting it.
Or it's literal. This is the part I'm having trouble with. Or they mean it. This is the part.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky part. Yeah, I mean, there's... it's an aspect of human communication and the insights of human souls. It's a complicated mess, Dr. Drew.
Well, I want something. I want to come up with some solutions. I want to be uplifting. I like the idea that they will come up with them from within. That's good. Mm-hmm. I don't know. What do you feel about the Occupy DC movement? Is it still underway? Are there actually people out there still trying to occupy DC? It's so odd to me. These. First of all, it's insurrectionist. We're gonna try to take over, remove a duly elected, democratically elected official or administration. How is that not an insurrection? And January 6th, a bunch of people, idiots running around, is an insurrection. But people who say they want to remove the executive office, that's not an insurrection.
It's the whole perception is reality, and can you get the perception done? Can you manufacture the perception? And I don't think that they can. I haven't really heard anything too much about the DC stuff lately. I did see that the Washington DC youth are overrunning the National Guard down there, but haven't seen too much else.
What does that mean?
No, right. So you've got a waterfront district down there where I presume there's a lot of shopping centers, and then you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of youth, and the National Guard standing there trying to orderly conduct this massive youth, and they can't arrest anybody. They can't detain anybody. They can't do anything. So they're just standing there, and these kids are running up and kicking them. And then I imagine going to church group afterwards or looting a 7-Eleven. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Give me a few minutes of prognosticating. Where are we going? How do we go there? What we talk in 3 or 4 months? What are we going to be talking about? And what I'm not sure I could get anywhere near a prognosis, because given our last conversation, we were talking about Sydney Sweeney and assless chaps, and now we're talking about National Guard being attacked by and overrun by youth, and it's just so ridiculous. It's so complicated and moving so fast.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of good on the horizon, Dr. Drew.
Okay.
In the short term,
okay.
you have a set of policies. If you can go back and you can find clips of Mamdani, and he's saying the world's most wildest stuff, like black liberation rests with trans people. Like, this is just the actual policies instituted in New York City are going to be wild. He's going to release criminals. He's going to stop arresting criminals. They're going to go back to painting defund the cops in the street while stringing a bunch of gullible people along with, we're going to give you free stuff. What you're going to see is, you're going to see an exodus. There is a clip out there where he says, we're going to tax people at 52%. That is a magic number. Once you start taking home the minority portion of your check, and you look down and see that is a motivating factor to leave. And the tax.
How does a mayor has nothing to do with income tax? What is that? Is that what he's saying? Income tax at 52% or property tax? What is he talking about?
Probably a culmination of all of the taxes that you're going to be under when you're in New York City. Take the sales tax.
By the way, in California, we're almost there. What are we at, 48% or something crazy like that? Or isn't that, are we there? I mean, it's not different than California, the utopia that is California. Well, listen, Salty, you need to shut up and pay your fair share, dude. You need to pay your fair share.
You're watching them. You're watching them leave. We for the first time in ever, we had more people leaving than coming in California. So and this is with a dude who still needs to pretend that he's a Democrat. This line, the Newsom character in New York City, they said, screw it. No, man, we're communism with sprinkles over here, essentially. And that is going to continue to reinforce the red areas that are on that coast. Florida is going to see an influx of people. You're going to see a bunch of New Yorkers head to Texas, and the taxable base, the taxable chattel in New York City. Listen, the billionaires in New York City, they don't pay taxes, so you're never going to get them. It's the middle class multimillionaires in New York City that are the target of this tax rate, and they'll leave. They're already leaving. A massive amount of New Yorkers went to Florida over the last few years. The last 4 years, go look at the trend. It's wild. And so New York is going to hemorrhage individuals where we've stopped importing people into this country. So the border's now sealed shut. And the way that they were planning on mitigating is, look at California's plan. Well, fine, it's fine if a bunch of people leave. We'll just dump millions of illegals over here. Well, that's not going to work anymore. So these places are going to end up losing rep seats. Funny enough, even with all the shenanigans that they're doing. And so in the short term, you're going to see a continued degradation of all the stuff that New York is famous for. You're going to get more poop on your sidewalks and more dead homelessness in the streets, and people will leave.
For sure.
And in the long term, in the long run, you can't institute communism in this place. We got way too many guns, Dr. Drew, right? There's 100 million of us with trillions of rounds of ammunition. This will be the only time that you dumb fuckers try to institute communism on an armed populace. This will go. If you thought the French Revolution was bloody, you haven't seen shit. This is a wild, dangerous game that these people are playing. And I think that the guns draw this process out so long that even the dumb normies who aren't paying attention will be able to clearly see, you got a choice in this country. You could eat animals in the zoo, or you could have steak and lobster with us, but you got to go to work. That's all we ask for you. Go to work, mow your lawn, and you'll be fine.
I knew we'd get to the dumb fuckers, but there's and the salty army is yes. They're responding now. I'm seeing you guys. So the other thing, not to sort of call back again to Corolla a second time here, but this is a different topic, which he's been saying for a long time. It's sort of what you're saying, because I asking him the same question, like, I can't see how this works out. How does it go? He keeps saying it's just going to keep going this way. It's going to be safe spaces and octagons. And that's it. The safe spaces and octagons. And that's kind of what you're saying. There's going to be you're going to be Florida and Manhattan.
Yeah, the government always runs out of other people's money, and so these things they've got a runway, and it's got to be instituted and done in a certain time period, or people start to notice, and that's not going to work here. That's an impossibility. Thank God for the federal system that we have, and the fact that we're armed. There's no way that you can take this country and flip it to communism. It's got to be a slow roll, and by the time you roll it out, people will be like, "Oh hell no! Oh hell no! I don't want to do that." And you're already seeing it. You don't have a massive influx into New York City. You're gonna have more people leaving than going in. Mamdani is going to have to build a wall.
That's really funny. Mamdani's wall. There you go.
Mamdani's wall.
Oh my God. But Michael Malice has been saying for some time that rather than that his version of safe spaces and octagons is going to be some sort of dissolution of states, some sort of realignment, some sort of federal fracturing. Do you imagine anything like that?
I hear people talk about that. I hear people talk about a constitutional convention. I always err on the side of caution. I would imagine, believe it or not, and I don't like. I would encourage not to. You
just encourage a violent militia outbreak. That's salty on the side of caution.
A violent self-defense outbreak. Yeah. You don't. We got a very sketchy situation. These people are able to do a lot of rigging out there. I'd be highly skeptical about doing large formation actions in this country, like holding a new constitutional convention or trying to realign states. I think what we better do is we better find the common sense strongholds and reinforce them, and then make them independent.
One of my producers has pointed out that Mamdani has threatened to build a metaphysical wall. We're gonna Yeah, which makes sense to me because he's all about language. He's all about the ideas. Remember, violence is only a construct, Salty. It's just something that people invented. It's not something real. Yeah, it's look, we had violence before we had language. So what does he mean it's a construct? That's the most insane whatever. You can't, we live in a time when people say the craziest shit just because they can. And most of the reason they do it is they have no understanding of the human experience, no study of history, anthropology, psychology certainly is out the window. It really is a really serious problem. And it's so available on the internet now, but I guess equally as available is faulty information. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, listen to how all of those people talk. You see it with Kamala Harris and this guy. They just say words. They got platitudes. Flowery platitudes that they throw out there. Meanwhile, they're trying to steal your shit.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. What's coming up on the real Salty Cracker show?
Tomorrow we'll be live 4:30 Pacific time, and we'll be giving you the breakdown and the lowdown of all the stupid shit that's going to unfold between now and then.
The stupid fuckers and their fuckery is what you're saying, right? Is that what you're gonna tell us about?
It's so crazy to listen to you for like 20 years on the radio, and now you get to for these fuckers. I love it. I love it.
You're infecting me, dude. I'm trying to respond to the salty army. I look at how they talk. I listen to you, and that's how you guys talk.
No, I hear you guys. I hear you and Corolla on your podcast. You guys drop a lot of F-bombs lately. I'm sitting there going, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, he does. I will have to listen. I'll have to watch myself. Oh. I don't like gratuitous fuckery, but I do think that the current moment, if you can use expletives strategically, I think it's a good thing. I think but you have to use them judiciously for them to have the right impact, I think. So we'll see. Yeah. All right, my friend. I was just, for some reason, the other thing that popped into my mind was speaking of language.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, he uses it very carefully, but he does use it, and maybe that's giving us all permission to do so. Careful with your passwords, everybody. The password at the Louvre was the Louvre. And that's part of how they were able to run away with the crown jewels of France. But and to me, it's the whole story is so French. They're so arrogant. They're like, nobody would take from us. They would take the crown. What's the password? It's the Louvre, of course. What's wrong with you? Let's say, pourquoi non pas le Louvre? Yeah, and it's so funny to me that it just to me. But that kind of arrogance is alive and well in a lot of places. Check yourself, everybody. Be careful. And I will be on Gutfeld tonight, so look out for that. And otherwise, I look forward to talking to you again in a few months and revisiting how the world has turned. What else is, what comes of Mamdani? Does Rikers Island turn into some sort of hostage situation? Does he do something good? Does something good happen? I'm open to good. I'm always into thriving, but I'm just doing the math, as you say, and the math, the way he wants to do it, just does not seem to work. Doesn't pencil, as they say.
It doesn't, and I think we're going to be correct. It'll be an interesting show in a few months. I'm looking forward to it.
Salty Cracker tomorrow, everybody. Thank you, my friend, for being here. Appreciate it.
Dr. Drew, thank you so much.
All right, cheers. Woo, it's always fun. All right, coming up for us, I'm going to be from another location next week. We have RFK the third coming in, Miss Pat coming in, Zhao Ying Summers coming in. I think we rebooked Charlie Sheen. I think he's set up to come in. So there's a lot coming on. Oh, Rob Henderson coming in here. He's, of course, the sociologist. And he's actually a social psychologist and has been really getting some really interesting insights into what's going on in the world. And he's kind of very subdued academic, Salty. He's going to answer my questions from a more academic perspective. So look forward to all that. We appreciate you all being here. This week has been from New York. Next week will be from an undisclosed location, but in California again. And we appreciate you all being here. We appreciate Salty's participation. I appreciate the Salty Army. I'm looking at your Rumble rants to see if there's anything else you guys have on the road there other than Salty family has been very lively today. Here, Dan Jaras is saying, I'm cussing because I'm trying hard to fit in. It's not fitting in so much as speaking the language of. Like when I work with drug addicts and stuff, that there's a lot of cussing that goes on there, and I just participate with them. So maybe it's a boundary issue more than a fitting in issue. And on the restream, where are you guys? Let me see if I can get back upstream here, which is hard because you guys are moving quick. Thank you. Well, Salt, wait a minute. Salt of the earth. I see that there. Boy, the Salty World answers, it makes a lot of comments that are like 1 or 2 words. And so I never know quite what they're responding. I'm not mocking you. This is a Pretty Bird. We're mocking us. No mocking. No. All right. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you, am I correct, next Tuesday at 2 o'clock Pacific? Let me double check
11th.
that, as I always have to do.
November 11th to Pacific with Bobby Kennedy III and Dr. Andrea.
There it is. I see it there. We'll see you then. Take care. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. Emily Barsh is our content producer. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.